This is going to be good. So here's what's going on. We have been able to create a clone of ourselves. All right. Huh. Why is that not loading? Thought is loading. Oh, maybe it's still loading. All right. So we've been able to create a clone of ourselves. Let me kind of show you what we've done here. So if I can zoom in, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. What's going on right here is if you look over here, I'm assuming maybe the thing is right. We've created an agent that is pulling from our Superbase vector store. And we've done a lot of work to create the Superbase just by testing it out, sampling. We've been putting in a couple of, how would say it? We've been putting in a couple of podcasts, taking that transcript, chunking into data, and then putting it into our vector database. So now, for example, you can kind of see right here what we're doing right here is, let me, you can kind of see what we're doing right here. Zoom forward to the right one. You kind of see right here that we typed in right here what's the best finance strategy for a 30 unit affordable housing, and boom, based on our vector database, it put up like, hey, the best financing strategy might be using low income housing tax credits, right? And you got to have a diverse capital stack for it. The backbone of financing for affordable housing involves the low income housing tax credit, which considers blah 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 blah. Great, so that worked out, right? And then we decided to try different questions and say like, all right, well, now let's type in the question, can you tell me more about low income housing tax credits? And then it says, hey, the best financing strategy for 30-year involves having alternative form of financing and construction to create mixed income communities. In affordable housing, it's essential to diversify your financing sources. The backbone of financing for such projects is often the low income housing tax credit, which typically makes up a significant portion of the capital stack. Additionally, for affordable housing deals that involve significant funds, like a 30-year mortgage or multi-million, it's important to ensure that the finance structure supports it. So a little generic, but what I'm excited about is that it works. Right? We proved out what I see in a YouTube video, and now we're translating that use case towards what we're doing right now. In terms of being able to ask questions to our database. Now, obviously, might it be a little bit different as it moves forward? Absolutely. But this is now at least a good test. It's good to see that the pipes or the pipeline is working. So I'm really happy with kind of what my partner Brian has been able to do. Just kind of going back and forth with each other and trying to figure out like, hey, what is it that we need to kind of create? So I wanted to share this with you because we are literally building this out in public, right? We've gone from learning how to create a loader. So this is a good screen that talks about like, how do we get all of our transcripts into downloading from Google Drive and then putting that data into our Superbase vector database store. It's a mouthful. And after we create this database, then we can now ask it questions, which is proven out here. So the first step was, you remember what we've been doing, right? We've been documenting, hey, we're transcribing all of our data. We're transcribing all of our podcasts. Then we decide to cluster our podcast and align certain categories with each one. Then using that database, now we can start asking questions, right? You build it step by step so you can figure out how do you actually go about this process. And ultimately, what is the goal, right? I think we all talked about this before. Our goal is to say, hey, right now, if you ask ChatGPT, right, what is the best podcast on affordable housing investments? Whoops, forgot the question mark. I wonder what pops up if I mess up the question marks. Boom. Our podcast pops up. Okay. And when our podcast pops up, that's how we maintain a lead and being the authority. And then using that, we're going to use all of our knowledge that we've accumulated. And now we're going to go out and answer questions on Reddit about affordable housing. Whenever anybody has any question about anything related to affordable housing, I can now create a clone of myself to go out to the world and answer those questions about affordable housing. This was a very crucial step, and I'm so glad the pipeline worked. All right. So just to kind of refresh everyone, right? What we have done is we've taken all of the podcasts we've done, and I haven't enriched the data yet. I'm just taking my podcast because I think there's more data out there that I can enrich this database with. But the first step was just to get the piping working, which means that we got our podcasts, we transcribed them, we categorized them, we clustered them. Then we decided to figure out, okay, how do I create the steps to create this vector database? And that's what we did earlier on here. This is the flow where after all my podcast transcripts are now on Google Drive, this creates a mechanism for me to pull down those transcripts one by one, chunk it out, and then put it into our Superbase vector database store. And using that database, that's how we're retrieving answers for our questions that we might get asked. So in the future, I can see a world where I have a browser agent that goes out, that finds all these questions. Then it's going to surface that question to this RAG agent. And this RAG agent is going to refer to my database first for any sort of questions so that I can answer any subsequent question there. All right. I hope this was helpful, everybody. I mean, I'm really excited about this because this creates a ton of leverage. And more importantly, you are training a version of yourself that gives you the most leverage for your time because people can just ask you questions. And when people can ask you questions and you can get them their answer as fast as possible, then now all of a sudden you get to help so many people at such a massive scale. It's wild. And this is happening right now. So please don't sleep on AI. Please don't sleep on cloning yourself because guess what? If you're not doing it, someone else is. And I'm showing this to you not because I want to keep it all to myself. I mean, I'm showing this with you to you so that you can absolutely change your life. And more importantly, you can absolutely change the lives of other people, right? This is a database that I created, which is all of our transcripts, all of our podcasts. I'm going to enrich it and supplement it with other information about affordable housing from around the world. But this is it. This is how we get to help so many more people, so many more projects at such a larger scale to help them create more affordable housing. All right. So I hope this was helpful, everybody. I hope you all have an amazing Monday. I hope you get to spend some quality time with your family and friends today because that's what life is all about. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 662. And make sure you DM me if you have any questions about what we're doing because it's complex. I'll be honest. Like we spent so many hours just troubleshooting just to get to the stage. What you have not seen was like 20 hours of building this out, back and forth, talking it out, exactly what the flow looks like, just to kind of get to here. And this was fun because I know that this means that we can clone ourselves and we can help so many more people. All right. Have an amazing night, everybody. And I'll see you all tomorrow.